Hey, Brian, what are you going to do when your license expires in February? Go underground. I know you're never going to pay your now to the FCC. We know that.
You're right, Gary.
Hey, Gail, what are you going to do with my kitchen
status until the court cases take place, if they ever take place. If they don't take place, then it's just, it expires due to the statute of limitations, but thanks for asking, you.
Oh, yeah. Well, first of all, Brian, maybe you should learn my name because it's not Gary. I don't know where you got that name from. I've never given you that name. I don't know where you come from. It might just as well be Ebenezer Foreskin as far as you're concerned, you fuckhead. But to be honest with you, you're playing the same games that K1MAN played over and over and over. He lost in the end. I don't think he ever paid his fine. But to this day, K1MAN, I believe, is taken up with the technician class. Oh, golly. Oh, golly. You know, the Yeti story, Brian, it just doesn't wash. You know, the snowman that entered your house and played with your radio. You know, you should have said your grandson saw UFOs the night before and they were trying to communicate back to their home planet. That would have been a more reliable story, Brian. But, you know, you're free to do as you wish. And, you know, seriously, a person like you, what does it matter whether you're legally licensed or not? That's what I don't understand. It doesn't matter to W6WBJ, apparently. Why should it matter to you? You're as bad as, you know, the priest that molests little children and then goes to Mass and puts white gloves on. You're a dual-sided psychopathic personality, and nobody, I mean, anybody in their right mind knows this, Brian Crow. You're a psychopath. I don't know what else is in your background, but Jesus Christ, I certainly wouldn't allow you to be my accountant, that's for sure, or my stockbroker. Anyway, I gotta get out of here. Joe, if you're there, I did hear W6WBJ last night on CW. I did hear his beacon. Apparently, it's either him or somebody masquerading as Billy. But Billy is one funny guy. You should go to the internet. I mean, go to YouTube.
You have no manners and no respect. You say what you want to say.
Beware of the amateur operator, the Pee-wee Hermans out there. Beware, ladies, of anybody, of any man that claims to love you or you love who has an amateur radio license. You will always, ever, and forever regret you ever got into this thing. You always will. They are the Pee-wee Hermans. Anyway, the old drunk's at it again, the old drunk. By the way, this old drunk, he's 75 years old. He lives in a trailer with his brother, Charlie Diesel. The police have gone by and photographed it several times. He's got prostatic cancer, and the fucker still is smoking. He's sitting there smoking 6 cigs and eating stew. And you know, Diesel, why don't you get out of the fucking trailer, go join the Congregational Church, or do something useful with your life, old man? You're 75 years old. How much longer do you think the good Lord is going to give you on this earth, you old fool? Anyway, we hope it's not too much longer. K1LEM, I'm gone.
From actually really down South Carolina, I'm going to piss on your grave, whether you like it or not. And I think 1,000 more people will. You leave the world, Gary, and I hope you get pain like I went through. I'm not the only one that's sick. Corporal Tom asthma, sugar, my inner ear was hit by a car, hit my head upon ice. A car dug me 40 feet when I was 5 years old. I had a truck dive over my head, and I had soda bottles that hit my back on my head and fallen in a quick check store. Yeah, I had accidents. I don't complain. I'm still going on, but you're jealous because I'm still here, Gary. I just hope I can outlive you, and I want to see you suffer with some pain. I'd like some pain first. Okay, Gary?
That's not Gary, that's slow-mo.
Okay, Gary. See you later. By the way, I got your name from the ULS that says K1LEM is registered to Gary E. Davis, 215 Apple Park Lane, Inman, South Carolina, 29349. That's where I got the name Gary. So, if it's not Gary, you should change it, though.
Joseph, you up by Joseph really knows his license years ago. He did mine.
Yeah, I don't understand why he's now claiming that his name is not Gary, but it's in the license database as Gary. I don't get that.
Slow-mo.
Well, I was hoping he had not gone away because he apparently has some sort of misconception about the process. The NAL and forfeiture are just allegations. They're not proven until you go to court. You go to court, you discuss the allegations before the judge, or actually in filings that are uploaded to the website, the court website, and then the judge makes a decision. And then if the judge rules against you, then you go to court again, and you appeal that to the appellate court. And then if the appellate court then orders a judgment of some payment, that's when you pay it. But it's not proven by any means. It's just an allegation at that point. It's just an allegation before the judge rules one way or the other. And it's not a collection action. It's an action to determine if the FCC has their facts right, if they can win the case, whatever. The collection action would come after you don't pay it. So if the judge orders, okay, well, you owe $2,000, right, and you don't pay it, then the FCC can cancel your renewal application at that point, and then the Department of Justice could sue you to try to collect the $2,000 or whatever it is. That would be a collection action. But the actual action before the DOJ in court after a forfeiture order, that's merely to determine if the FCC got their facts right and if there's a case at all. So it's nothing but allegations before you go to court.
Now there, Gary, bite on that one.
Oh, I think everybody should act right for sure. I've always advocated that people, act within the grant of their license, and according to Part 97, I would never, ever advocate bad behavior on amateur radio.
He's listening, Vaughn. KC2J, he don't know what to say. So you got him stung. You got him in the corner.
Well, unfortunately, the ARRL has allowed people to think that a forfeiture order has some meaning. It really is completely meaningless. It's nothing but allegations that come from an engineer at the FCC, and what you do is, you deny it, which is what I did, and now I'm waiting for the DOJ to come around. It's been 3 years waiting for the DOJ to sue to try to prove the FCC allegations. And if they do that, then I will mount my defense. And if the judge in the first trial determines that I owe some money, I'll appeal that, and I'll go to the second trial. And if after that the judge says that I owe some money, at that point what I'll probably do is voluntarily relinquish my license, because it's really not worth paying any money to stay a ham with the bands in the condition that they're in. So I'll probably just relinquish my license at that point if it turns out that I owe money. And then if the DOJ wants to collect that money, then they can sue me again and collect it at that point.
Brian, why don't you just go to the bottom line and relinquish your license? That would be the best thing to do, huh? Just go to the bottom line, man, and cancel your license. I'll tell you how to do it. The FCC told me how to do it.
Oh, I don't want to cancel my license. I'm going to continue to talk until after the second trial.
All over for you, Brian, and you're a liar. You're a psychopathic liar. All you are is you try to wiggle your way out of what you do.
Just voluntarily
you'd steal money on Wall Street if you were a broker. You'd steal money. You'd be the Jewish Bonnie and Clyde on Wall Street if that's what you did for a living. Everybody knows that. So, you're not kidding anybody, Brian. You're just kidding yourself is all you're doing, and pretending to those that aren't as smart, apparently as you think you are, that you're somebody of note and you didn't do it. Of course you did it. Why don't you just come clean with the FCC and say you did it? Or, better yet, as you just said, go to the bottom line and cancel your license. That would be the best thing to do, Brian. Can't you see that? I mean, that's just common sense. K1LEM.
What fun would that be, Gary? Besides, haven't you ever gotten a traffic ticket and you didn't commit the traffic violation? Wouldn't you go to court, or would you just pay it? I mean, I've never done that. I've always gone to court.
Well, first of all, Brian, if I did something, I admit I did it. Unlike yourself, I don't try to say the Yeti came into my ham shack and turned my radio on. I'm sure the FCC engineers know exactly that it came from your station. Who the hell do you think was making the transmissions? Your grandson or somebody? This lame story that your neighbors are trying to frame you, Brian. I mean, my God. Who do you think in their right mind is going to believe that? The administrative judge will never believe you. You're already way past the time where you can win anything. All you're trying to do is get it dismissed. And I think, to save everybody a lot of time and trouble, you should do what you just said, which was very smart. Go to the bottom line and cancel your license. That's all you have to do.
Yeah, but Gary, I don't want to do that. And you're not a judge or a lawyer or an advocate of any kind, and you are not even a witness. You weren't nowhere around, so why would I listen to you?
Who's asking to listen to me? Just common sense. Brian, you did it. You know you did it. The FCC was not out there with their van to prove anything other than to see if you were actually there, and you were an asshole, as you always are, a deceptive asshole. You have a deviant, sociopathic side to you that is so clear. I used to work with slime bags like you, and I know slime bags. They're sociopathic. There's different levels. There's liars, and then there's slime bags like you who are sociopaths, and then there's the true dangerous type, the psychopath. That's the other entity. But no, nobody's going to believe you because you're just wiggling your way out of the situation. That's all you're trying to do. And I don't know why you would prolong the agony that long. You just said yourself the vans are not worth staying on, or something similar to that. I would agree with you. I mean, that last statement you made is totally correct. All it is now is just one big citizens ban, idiotic thing. I heard somebody on here a couple of Sundays ago. This was what I heard in a conversation. That ain't hardly got no vegetable on it. What kind of an idiot would say a grammatical statement like that and still be able to pass a general light no code license? That ain't hardly got no vegetable on it.
Would worry about like that.
And similar. And you've got Duke Dietzel in there too, the old drunk. His IQ is about 60. I mean, seriously. I totally, being in radio for half a century, I agree with you. I totally agree with you. The bottom line would be the easiest thing for you to do. Just do the honorable thing, Brian, the honorable thing, which you will never do, would be to cancel your license. That would be the honorable thing to do. And I don't know whether the FCC at that time would just say, well, you see, he canceled his license, so all this $12,000 fine, this now, and the interest, we're just going to let it go. See, you'd be saving the taxpayers so much money. You're going to go pro se in court. I know you. You're a fucking cheap bastard. You go pro se. But who cares? I mean, that is not the issue, Brian. The issue is you're a sociopathic slime bag. That's the issue. K1LEM Echo Mike.
But Gary, I wasn't there that morning. My neighbor said that the FCC knocked on the door twice, and I was actually at my kid's school that morning, and my face is on the security camera at the school, which is part of the evidence that I will show the court. So you're wrong. I wasn't there. I wasn't on the air. They knocked on the door.
Bullshit.
Nobody answered. And my face is on the security camera at my kid's school, Gary. That will be part of the evidence that I'll show if the DOJ is dumb enough to take the case. Over.
Well, this sounds like the reenactment of K1MAN. Of course, Brian. I got to get off the frequency because I just want to talk to Joe about W6WBJ, who I find to be a very funny. Apparently, Riley Hollingsworth has this guy in his sights, and now Billy doesn't have a license. But in my opinion, I think Billy should still have a license. But we won't get into that because he's right. He's unlike yourself. He's unlike the scumbag that you are. But in any event, you understand what Baxter
I don't
did,
think he
right?
likes you, Brian.
But anyway.
You know how the FCC caught him? They went to his place in Belfast, Bell River, Maine, Belfast, Maine, wherever it was, and these transmitters all came on the air by themselves. They were all playing tapes. if you were at your kid's school, that is not an indication that your station was not interfering. No, sir, Jose. You can have your transmitter on automatic pilot just like Baxter did, K1MAN. And if they say that your signals were coming from your house, your transmitter was on the air. Indeed, Brian Crow, you're also guilty then of operating a radio transmitter with not being there on a band 20 meters, which you're not allowed to do, by the way. So you have an additional charge against you. I in no way, Jose, think the FCC was trying to frame poor little Brian Crow. Absolutely not. Now, whether or not you were at your son's school, that's immaterial. Signals were coming from your transmitter, and you're responsible for that goddamn thing. And all you want to do as a slime bag, sociopathic scum asshole is duck your way out.
He's tripping on his film.
He's got a problem.
They're a lot smarter than you, Brian Crow. I mean, you know you're a slick bastard, but there are people out there a lot smarter than you, including me, and you would not get off. You're not going to get off.
I'm standing by with the pin.
The only other alternative, Brian, would be that the FCC technicians that were out there were trying to frame you, or were trying to, in other words, what you would have to say is the FCC engineers forged the data. In other words, they are the ones that did this. You're saying the law enforcement folks, they're the ones that are trying to frame poor Brian Crow.
Standing by with the pin.
Kind of logical thing that you could say, that the FCC technician that was out there that got data on your station that day was trying to frame poor old Brian Crow. Well, whether you were physically at your house or not, I don't think that matters. I think you still could remotely control your radio and jam 14313. After all, didn't Baxter do that? K1MAN? Sure he did. They went up to his house and they found he had 4 transmitters, 5 transmitters, all simultaneously being remote controlled by a clock. Or maybe not even remote controlled. He just had them on a clock. So they came on, and probably you had the fucking transmitter on some kind of a remote with a tape to jam 14313. And then Crow, you're a slime bag. You're a slime bag. I'm glad you're not on Wall Street. That's all I got to say. Anyway, a lot of your friends probably are there, as far as I can see. Anyway, Joe, if you're not out there, I have nothing more to say to this slime bag. Joe, if you're there, come up. If not, I'm going to get out of here. K1LEM.
Anyway,
Gary, let me just refute a couple items that are not part of the record. Number one, the FCC didn't allege that I interfered via a remote link. They did not allege that. They alleged that I was there.
Well, they couldn't possibly know that because you weren't there, Brian. How would they know that unless they entered your house?
Now, just to let you know, I didn't have any SSTV equipment in the shack. No computer in the shack. No antenna in the air. The equipment was off. It was cold. When they arrived in the morning, they knocked on the door. They knocked on the side door. Nobody answered. My neighbors both reported that. When I came home, they weren't there. They had gone to lunch. And the first person they met when they came back at 1:15 was my son getting off the school bus, and they said, "Hey, where's your dad?" And he came in and he called out to the backyard. He said, "Hey, Dad, there's a couple guys here who want to talk to you." So I came out and I said, "Well, yeah, what's up?" And they said, "Hey, we'd like to inspect." And I showed them the radio, which was off and cold, and I said, "What are you guys doing here?" And they said, "Well, we're investigating some signals that came from your station this morning." And I said, "Well, that's funny because I wasn't here this morning." So then they went on and on about my wife. Well, where's your wife? And where's, what kind of car does she drive? And what kind of, where does she park? And does she park in a garage or does she park on the street? And what's her phone number? And, where has she been? So they were actually thinking that initially that it was my wife, because obviously I wasn't there. So they said, "Hey, would you turn on your radio?" So I turned it on, and it was not on 14313. And, of course, there was no SSD.
Doesn't mean a thing.
There's no computer. There's nothing to play recordings. There's nothing, actually, no interface whatsoever to do SSTV or recordings or anything. So So anyway, so I complained that they had parked on my front lawn with their 6,000-pound Ford Explorer and left huge ruts in my front lawn. And then the FBI called Mike Moffitt, the Northeast Regional Director, and said, hey, you should realize that Brian Crow has been the victim of several hoaxes, and one of them was an anthrax hoax where he was falsely accused of sending fake anthrax to Canada, and one of them was a child sex slavery hoax.
You ought to write for a tabloid, Brian. You ought to write for a tabloid.
Shut up, Whit, you fucking dope.
You ought to write for a tabloid, Crow. You ought to write for a tabloid.
And no, I never did reply to the NAL because they never served it to my address of record, which is on the face of the license.
Oh,
but anyway,
you wormy bastard.
At my kid's school, my face is on the camera.
Bastard.
They never alleged that there was a remote link. They alleged that I was there somehow, even though they never saw me. And they never heard me, and my voice was never heard on tape. So basically, you've got like 8 minutes of FSTV coming from somewhere. And I'm not alleging that they're framing me or trying to frame me or anything. I'm just alleging that they're in error. But let me say this. I'm not alleging anything because I haven't been sued. If I'm sued, then I'll mount a defense. If I'm not sued, it doesn't matter. It's just meaningless electrons on a website somewhere. K3VR.
That would be the only logical thing. Anything else is ridiculous and ludicrous.
He can't stand the truth, Brian. He interrupted you and talked around you and through you through mostly 3/4 of the transmission.
Okay, thanks,
Tom. If I was the judge, you would be slapped right in the face. No, that is ridiculous. The only defense you would have would be that somehow the FCC engineer that was there either inaccurately DF'd your house, and I don't see how because they were right sitting in your fucking front yard, and at the same time, you could also mount a much more less probable defense that poor Brian Crow is being framed by the FCC. Neither one of those defenses is going to be worth a shit. It isn't even going to be worth a piece of tissue paper and a piece of toilet paper in a hurricane, Brian.
It's all about what he says, not what the facts are, Brian.
Just let it run out. Hopefully it'll never come to court.
Shut your fucking pie hole, Joe.
I mean, obviously you're guilty. You're a slime bag. There is no question about it. Anybody knows you're a slime bag. And you're duplicitous. You're just a sociopathic, duplicitous man. I've seen millions. I haven't seen millions, but I used to work with people like you every day. Every day. No, you don't deceive anybody. You're just trying to weave a story to get your way out of something. Well, the evidence is very much there. They brought a mobile system out to your house. Do you think that they're so stupid they don't know that it was your transmitter that was on the air? Do you think that they're so dumb? I mean, the only defense you could possibly have would be that the engineer that was there was trying to frame you, and there was no transmission that ever emanated from Brian Crow's transmitter. Other than that, we'd have to say that the Yeti did it, right? Those footprints in the snow? Yeah, that Yeti. that old Yeti trying to contact the Himalayas back to home through Brian Crow's radio station. Well, Brian, it just doesn't work. I think that you could be an honorable man if you wanted to be, which we know you're not. You're a slime
K3VR, Freddie.
Because that's very clear. You're just pushing. You're a sociopath. But if you wanted to maintain any honor, you already said it this morning. Just ask the FCC to cancel your license. Just let it go. That would be the honorable thing to do, and to back away. Because as you said, this is nothing more than a big citizens man piece of crap that you really don't want to participate in. And yet, for some reason, you still do want to participate in it. So, you're going to have to ask yourself that question. Is it really worth all the trouble? The answer, of course, is that it is.
Stand by, Mark.
All you have to do is just rescind your license. That's all you have to do. You don't even have to admit guilt. You don't have to not admit guilt. You can just say, nolo contesto. You know what that is, Brian? Nolo contesto! Yeah, Brian, why don't you try that one for a change, you slime bag? K1LEM, Echo Mike.
First of all, Gary, the term is nolo contendere. And when you said duplicious, the word is duplicitous. duplicitous. Anyway, Gary, if you double with me, I can't explain the facts to you, so I'm just going to turn it over to my good friend Tom, who just appeared. I need to go to work. So 73, and when you get your law license or when you become a judge, then you can sit in judgment over other people, and until then, you should probably reserve judgment until the facts are out. Tom, go ahead. Your frequency, K3VR, 73.
All right, Brian, have a great day at work. There's no sense in trying to explain it to him because he's got his notion of what went on, and then there's the facts, and they collide, somewhere in the middle. So anyway, have a great day at work. We'll talk with you later on. N1, UZI.
Yeah, 73, Tom, I agree. He's just doubling. He has his own notion of what happened, even though he was not a witness. He was not here. He knows nothing about it, and so he's just sort of babbling on about something he has no clue about. And anyway, Tom, frequency to you, it's your frequency. It was my frequency. I let Gary make a couple transmissions, but it's your frequency now, Tom. You do what you want to do with it. K3VR, 73.
All right, man, we'll catch you later on tonight. Have a good day at work.
Okay, that's all we want.